Hello, dear students. In the video class, I want to discuss something about a poem that is All the World is a Stage. The poem that I am going to deal today with you is All the World is a Stage. It is a poem written by William Shakespeare. I hope you know well something about the poet William Shakespeare. You might have read his sonnets and plays because William Shakespeare was a significant classical writer of Elizabethan period. So, uh, every one of us uh, must have known his name, and somewhere we have read his works and listened some stories of his plays. Right, in the present class, I am going to deal with the poem. I tell you once again, all the world is a stage. You see the title, All the World is a Stage. The poet is going to connect the world and the stage. Stage is the word we generally use or we may come across in the theater. And now it is the stage that we see in any kind of the programs that are organized in different institutions as well. Stage is the place where we are going to organize the function, demonstrate the place, and we speak, we address, we discuss. Many things we do by gathering the people, and it is the place where the people are going to address the audience or the public. But here, the stage is directly connected to the theater, connected to the play. Play is written, it is staged in the theater. What Shakespeare is doing here, stage, it is a limited space, it has a limited space. The size of the stage is, the dimension of the stage is very not so big, it is very small as such. But here, the poet wants to consider, or he considered, the whole world, the universe itself is a stage. That means the poet is comparing the world to the stage. He thinks the world itself is a stage. It is a very big stage. When the world has become a stage, the people who are in this world are certainly the players of it. No man or woman can escape from the roles in the world of stage. Therefore, with this background, the poet has started a poem. All the world is a stage. He compares the world as a stage. There are hundreds of stages, thousands of stages, as we have thousands of theaters and institutions. They are different. But here, the poet, he is going to centralize the stage as a world. Where the people who are living in this world has to play his own role on this stage of world. This is what we can simply look at the title, we can understand uh, the concept and the probable sense of the poem which is stated in the very title itself. Right, in this session, I mainly focus on the poet and the poem. The poet, I told you already, that is William Shakespeare, the Elizabethan writer. And the poem, particularly, you are going to study in the present session is All the World is a Stage. All should keep remember and make note that your topic of the poem is All the World is a Stage, and the poem which is written by William Shakespeare. Keep these 2 points in your mind. Now I am going to introduce the poet to you by giving some information about the William Shakespeare, and I pass on to the poem All the World is a Stage. William Shakespeare was an Elizabethan poet and playwright. You see, the poet has an adjective, that is Elizabethan poet. The poet belongs to the Elizabethan age. When the Queen Elizabeth was ruling England, the poet was actively writing and he popularized sonnets and plays during his period. So he is known as Elizabethan poet, a great writer of the age and forever. And he was not only a poet, he was a playwright too. He was a dramatist and a poet. He played the 2 roles, being a writer. He was a classical English writer. He was not just a simple writer like other people. He was considered as a classical writer whose poetry and plays are being read, studied, and performed all over the world. See, his works were read and studied, and plays particularly they were performed all over the world. They were presented, and they are being presented even today in different languages, in different countries. Such a popular writer of all ages. Johnson, that is Ben Jonson, is contemporary writer, the playwright and poet, who called him as Shakespeare is not of an age but for all the ages. That means the universality of Shakespeare. And Shakespeare is for all the time. His works are for all the time. Such a eminent writer, the great writer, a universal playwright and a poet, who wrote the poem All the World is a Stage. His works are translated into many major languages, though he wrote his plays in English in England, and even today they were translated, and they are being translating to many languages, major and even minor languages also. He wrote 154 sonnets for his credits. He wrote 154 sonnets and two long poems, narrative poems, and 37 plays, dramas, that I want to say. He alone wrote both tragedies and comedies at his time. In the Greek and Rome, long back, even before Shakespeare and even after Shakespeare, some wrote only tragedies and some wrote only comedies. But it was possible for the Shakespeare alone could write comprehensively both the tragedies and comedies. Very effectively wrote. His major plays that I want to make you to understand the plays of his time: Hamlet, King Lear, Macbeth, The Merchant of Venice, Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, As You Like It, and The Tempest. I told you he wrote 37 plays. Of them, I just give very few important plays, significant plays of Shakespeare. This is how we see something about that is Shakespeare. Now let us come to the poem All the World is a Stage. I am going to introduce the poem to you now. Now you got introduction to the poet, a brief information about Shakespeare and his works and the contributions to the literature. Now you are going to understand, or you are going to learn something about the introduction to the poem. The present poem, All the World is a Stage, is directly taken from his play, As You Like It. I have already mentioned the play As You Like It. The poem that you are going to study now is directly taken from the play, the popular play of Shakespeare, his own play. It is As You Like It. It is a speech spoken by Jocus. In the play, Jocus is a character who is going to speak. His speech itself is taken as a poem to you. The poem you are going to study is a speech delivered by Jocus in the play As You Like It. Jocus is a character taken from Act 2nd, Scene 7th of the play As You Like It. From the second act, 7th scene of the play As You Like It, the present poem, it is taken or selected for your study. I told you it is a speech by Jocus. Jocus speaks all alone on the stage about human life. Here, in the context of the play, that too in second act, scene 7th, Jocus, he all alone, continuously speaks. He speaks about human life. It is a monologue of the character who reveals his thoughts on life. You see, it is a monologue. Monologue means a person who speaks all alone constantly, and the person who is going to express his uh, emotions continuously all alone on the stage. It is what we generally call monologue. It is a speech of one, long speech of one. It is a monologue of the character who reveals his thoughts on life. He has some thoughts about life. That is what Jocus is going to express. That is taken for granted for you. Here, life is compared to a play. In the poem, life, which is compared to the stage, where men and women act different kinds of roles, or many roles. But here the poet speaks only about 7 stages of human life in general. Many people can make many roles or various kinds of roles. But here, in the context of the play, the poet Shakespeare, he speaks only about 7 stages of human life in general. Usually there are 5 acts in the play. Actually, in most of the plays, we see the play has 5 acts. It is a tradition that is followed by Greek theatres long back. That is continued even today also. This will be 3 act play, 1 act play, that we will see that. But generally, a complete play has 5 acts. But here, in the play of human life, the poet considers 7 stages. The poet vividly describes 7 stages of life in the poem. In the poem, the poet Shakespeare is going to describe very effectively uh, all the seven stages in detail. To describe them, the poet used figures of speech to develop the central metaphor life very effectively. To elaborate the central metaphor, to develop central metaphor, the poet uses figures of speech to convey sense of the all the seven stages. To make it very effectively, the poet has vividly used figures of speech. That is what we see as the background of the play. Sorry, a poem that is all the world is a stage. Now, so far we have discussed on two things. One is about the poet William Shakespeare, and other is about the play, the background of the play, the concept of the play. This is what in this session we have learned, and in the next session we shall see the poem in detail. Thank you for joining in this class and listen my um, views on the poet and the background of the poem All the World is a Stage by William Shakespeare. Thank you very much.